An investment in Monell is an investment in society. My name is Bruce Kimball. I am a chemical ecologist at the Monell Chemical Senses Center. So I was originally trained as an analytical chemist. I worked on meteorites, of all things. But I was at a research institute within the U.S. Department of Agriculture that was involved in animal behavior. And it was a strange new world for me that I could apply chemical analysis to studying what animals do and trying to change their behavior, particularly their foraging behavior, and trying to minimize damage to crops and things by foraging animals. I became very interested in how animals perceive the chemicals in their environment, particularly in their foraging environment, and that kind of realm of chemical communication, as it were, was something that really interested me and led me to understand that the Monell Center actually existed. That was in the early 90s. By the late 90s, I was trying to do my best to get myself here because I thought it was the preeminent place for somebody who was interested in the sensory world and the chemicals that drive that system. I used multiple disciplines in science to address some very complex issues. Primarily, that's chemical analysis and data analysis. And we have clever ways to generate the samples that are required to answer very interesting questions about animal and human health. And this is very important because animal and human health and the health of our environment actually all are intertwined. And so the more we know about things that impact all of those components of our universe will help lead us to a healthier world. I think what most excites me about what I do is the potential impact it could have on human health. Right now, the focus of my work is trying to identify the ways that chemical signals emanating from an individual, primarily humans, how those signals are altered by disease or injury, infection, what have you. And there's great potential there to make that translational in a way that people can aid in their own diagnoses and end up with better outcomes. One of my current studies at Monell is looking for biomarkers of brain injury or concussion. And we had some idea of some potential biomarkers that would arise from the injury. But we recently had the opportunity to collect urine samples from young athletes who had suffered concussions. And we confirmed that the class of compounds are also being affected in these young people as a result of head injury. And so I believe that maybe one day when people look back on discoveries from my lab, that might be the one that is most immediately impacting health here in the United States. Who knows what a young scientist working at Monell on some subject may learn that they will take to their next position and make some tremendous discovery that's not really related, but the techniques were related. The second area in which basic science impacts the average person really has to do with those building blocks of creating that foundation for what the next group of scientists, the next generation of scientists, what they can take from that and build upon and lead to an outcome that we can't even imagine right now. Training and mentorship are maybe the most important things we can do as scientists in general, and especially at Monell. We're not going to be around forever, but our science will be, and somebody needs to take that and run with it. And we don't even know what our trainees will work on next and what tiny little bit of information that they recall from their time at Monell, how that might develop into a giant idea that changes the world. The MSAP program at Monell is a wonderful, wonderful program, and it's rewarding for both the students and the mentors. My first MSAP student is currently an osteopath practicing here in Philadelphia, and I know that she gained the confidence to enter into that career based on her summer working in my laboratory. And I can still remember that last day of the program when she was in my office crying with such emotion about having to leave because it had changed her life. It made me very proud, of course, to realize I had that sort of impact on a very young, not even a scientist yet, but on a young student, and had caused her to desire to do something in the sciences. Well, I'm proud of my own accomplishments, obviously. I believe that while maybe they're not recognized worldwide, there are a number of things minor discoveries that I made that make me feel good about myself. But the greater thing is that I didn't do them by myself. I'm very proud that I was able to bring in colleagues and undergrads and postdocs to participate in my research, and that they can also hopefully take pride in what we discovered. While Monell tends to focus on the chemosensory realm, there are a number of disciplines that are involved in that research, and they're mostly all represented here at Monell. Any research topic can benefit by being viewed through the lens of many different disciplines. And at Monell, we have the experience and knowledge that comes from many different disciplines that can all contribute in very different ways and view a problem from very different ways. The exciting aspect of that is that somebody who may have no idea about the specifics of your research may come up with this kernel bit of knowledge that changes everything. And that can only happen in a setting where people are working in fairly close proximity to each other and are very open with each other about what they're doing. And that's the kind of climate that Monell provides. Monell is a really great place to work because they provide infrastructural support for every scientist here to pursue what interests them. And that's when I talk to other scientists and tell them why do I love it here so much. It's that freedom to pursue that crazy idea I had, and Monell is going to back me up and allow me to do that. But it's also a place that houses a lot of really smart people. The ability to walk down the hall and speak to my colleagues freely without any threat about stealing somebody's idea or disclosing some big secret, we can have very useful discussions about so many different topics. And it's the collegiality and the collaboration that makes Monell a really fantastic place to work. I would hope that everybody can benefit from my research and the research of my colleagues. It may not be obvious right now. It may take decades for the impact to be felt, but eventually is going to benefit by a greater understanding of their sensory world. I think the average citizen may not understand why taste and smell directly is a great thing to study. It's something they experience every day, and they might have a very ho-hum attitude about it. But the intricacies of that are things that motivate a lot of scientists here at Monell to branch out, and that leads us to do far-reaching things that aren't, very obvious to the average person. For instance, our interest in the chemical signals that would indicate whether or not you have a head cold or the flu or COVID-19, those could be detected by olfaction, perhaps by humans, certainly by animals, and certainly by the kinds of technology that are available to us now to detect those signals. I think there's probably a generation of scientists at Monell that saw their fields change with the onset of molecular biology. I'm not in that cohort. I'm in the group that's seen science changed radically because of data analysis. What we used to consider to be large data sets are minor compared to what are being generated now and being analyzed now. This is something that I'm really coming to grips with myself, trying to apply more recent analysis models, data analysis models, to what I've been doing. There's certainly been a shift in the bulk of the scientific output of Monell since I first arrived in 2007. And part of that is new technology and just a changeover of the faculty. But I suspect this is probably somewhat cyclic, that it's not unique to the period of time in which I've been at Monell. So we've seen a real change, not just at Monell, but in science of the chemosenses, and that the focus isn't just on the nose and mouth anymore, and that what we know about the nose and the mouth and how chemicals are detected is relevant throughout the body. And we see at Monell a number of people who are looking at that and trying to come up with better approaches to studying things like diabetes or obesity and things like that. Understanding all these things will lead us to a healthier world, because all of our existence of each individual and every animal and the world we occupy, the space we occupy, are all linked together. People probably don't realize how interconnected we are with the planet and the other animals and species that exist on this planet. This is known as One Health. The premise is that if one part of the system is ailing, then the entire system is doomed to failure. Monell has embraced this idea of One Health, and it's kind of rooted in its history in that animal research has not been conducted at Monell simply as a model for human research, but a genuine interest in the health and well-being of animals. And that's important. It's important that all the species that inhabit this planet are not threatened. We see these threats all the time. Avian influenza is a classic example right now of how disease in one species can drastically impact the health of many, many other species. My hope is that my work will make the world a healthier place. I am hopeful that what I study here will eventually find its way into everybody's home, and that they will be able to feel good about their own personal health. They might be able to diagnose themselves based on some of the technology we are trying to create. The benefit to investing now at Monell is for the future. Monell does research with human health in mind. You may not see benefits next month or next year, but your children may, or your grandchildren certainly will. An investment in Monell is an investment in society.